Welcome everyone to our webinar today. Today's topic is young people are the future of a civil society towards sustainable development. And today's webinar is organized by Sustainability from MDPI. My name is Milana Arambasic and I will be your host for today. So before we start, I would like to introduce you a bit to MDPI and sustainability in general, and then introduce you to the program for today and the participants and of course, webinar's chair. Now a bit about MDPI. We are a pioneer in scholarly open access publishing, and we have supported academic community since 1996. Our head office is in Basel, Switzerland, and our mission is to foster open scientific exchange in all forms across all disciplines. Now we have 486 diverse and open access journals, including 477 peer-reviewed journals and 9 conference journals, and we're supported by more than 295,000 academic experts who share our mission, values, and commitment to providing high-quality service for our authors. Now a bit about sustainability. The journal is an international peer-reviewed open access journal on environmental, cultural, economic, and social sustainability of human beings, and is published semi-monthly online by MDPI. Now for today's program, firstly, our chair, Professor Idiano Diadamo, will introduce you to the program and the speakers, and just briefly introduce the purpose of the webinar in the first 5 minutes. And then we will have our first presentation from Dr. Simona Desideri that will last 10 minutes on environmental concerns in the fashion industry. After that, Dr. Joaquin Francisco Varela will talk about sustainability and geopolitical risk. And then Professor Chiara Grosso will talk about fashion in technology and technology for fashion. After which we will have a Q&A session that will last 10 minutes. Then Professor Roberta Palmieri will talk about spectroscopy-based approaches for the characterization of textiles. After which Dr. Paolo Basilico will talk about emerging technologies and sustainable schools. And last but not least, Dr. Federico Mariangeli will talk about efficiency, trust, and sustainability in pharmacy holding. After which we will also have another Q&A session. And in the end, our chair will close the webinar. Now, I would like to also briefly mention the relevant special issue that is still open in our journal Sustainability on quantitative analysis and interdisciplinary approach to the sustainable development goals that is gestated by Professor Idiano, but also Professor Massimo Gastaldi and Professor Vincenzo Stornelli. So to access it, you can scan the QR code on the presentation or reach it via the link on screen. And the deadline is 30th of September of this year. Now there are already been 10 papers published, so you can check and read them as well, but also you can contribute if you would like. I must mention that when you would like to ask questions to our speakers, you should post them in the Q&A box rather than the chat box. And please mention the speaker who you are addressing the question to. Also, I would like to remind you that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be made available soon after the webinar finishes. And also you can request certificates of attendance and write us on our editorial office email, sustainability@mdpi.com. Now I would like to hand over the mic to our chair, Professor Idiano Adamo from Sapienza University of Rome. And I would like to wish you all a pleasant webinar and hope you enjoy the program for today. So Professor Adamo, you can share a screen now and introduce yourself.
So thank you very much for this wonderful organization of this event to MDPI team. That is very always nice toward the young research, but a special thanks to all 6 wonderful boys and girls that has accepted this invitation. Not all are research, but several of them are currently the wonderful professionists, but all of these persons are characterized by a great passion toward the research and are responsible are very incredible, wonderful paper published in top journals. And so it is very nice to listen them, and each of them will characterize by a specific aspect. This section is called Development Goals Toward Sustainability, is new in MDPI portfolio, is born about 30 months ago, and we have reached an incredible result, a number of papers that is very high, but in particular a reject rate that is very high. We have an average that is more great of 1-2 point than the average of MD Sustainability Journal. So it is a very high quality and high attention to this aspect. This is possible not thanks to the editor-in-chief, because editor-in-chief is only one single person, but a wonderful managing editor, Anna, is a wonderful assistant editor that support us, and all editorial board members. In particular, Roberta is a component of this editorial board member. Who is this person? Is the visit of Italian team in Serbia, in both of office of Belgrade and Novi Sad. Is a wonderful group of people, because a publisher is not only papers, but there are several people that spent your life in order to assist several research. So with my colleague, Professor Massimo Gastaldi, and with managing editor Anna. In the next slide, we have other wonderful colleagues, as Nevena, as Milica, as Nicola, all people that has supported this section. So, because we have started a special issue, because during a visit in Italy, specifically first in Rome and after in L'Aquila, we have identified the need to provide a new element. And so we have started with this special issue. I don't know if you are a practice with the number of papers published in a special issue, but we have reached the number of 10 in 3 months, and so we cannot close the special issue in September because we have several requests to have a new deadline. So all person can submit your paper in the next time. I remember that you can send me an email in order to understand if the topic is suitable or less. We are the colleagues that has supported this special issue. My mentor, my supervisor, my friend, I can use several words for Professor Massimo Gastaldi of University of L'Aquila, but the same I can use for another wonderful colleague, that is Professor Vincenzo Stornelli, director of department in L'Aquila, that support this research. Regarding Nevena, Anna, and Milica are 3 wonderful components of the MDPI that support us in all moments. I have provided a little example of this 10 paper published in this special issue. It's a recent paper that I have published with Massimo and with Maria Lucia della Sciucca. Is a young student coming from UNIVAC, because the research is not only an aim for some person, but can be used from all people, in particular for young generation. And so I'm very happy that several universities follow this approach to involve a younger generation in this process. What is the image of this picture? I'm very happy to see a green image for Europe. I'm very happy to see green for South America. North America, I think that is clear the situation. In Africa, but it's not responsibility of Africa, but we are responsible of the situation in Africa. We have a not nice situation. In Asia is a different separate situation. If we check the ranking of 20 first countries, we have 16 European countries. And so if Europe moves toward the Green Deal as a great and wonderful ambition plan, we have needed that the sustainability is not only an European issue, but we must, with political, move toward a pragmatic approach that involves all citizens, and we must support all Africa territory. In particular, in this moment, there are a particular and very not nice situation in Ukraine, and we are near to this population, but also we are very near to people that are in Palestine, because the sustainability is no war. But in all cases, we must speak with the calm and not with another terrible situation. But, however, I am currently the editor-in-chief of this section, but I think that is another person is better of me. My dog, the perfect investigator. I think that is wonderful of us next editor-in-chief. However, we will ask among editorial board members, but sincerely, the curriculum vitae of Dylan is very difficult. In all cases, Dylan asked me to have a little work, so we will close this presentation to the 8th. Alternative, for me, there is a little issue. And finally, last slide. I think that my age already changed. I don't know if all people know this wonderful man. It's very, very nice. I suggest to visit Krakow, but I suggest to visit all party. It is not relevant what is your idea. The important that you remember, and I underline that you remember that the altruism is the life. Because when you support young people, when you support people that has need, you will be a wonderful person and you can support all of this world. So I have finished my time and I'm very happy to listen my wonderful friend and collaborators. And so please, Simona.
Thank you, Professor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Simona Desideri. I'm an independent researcher, and today I'm going to talk to you about the study I have worked on together with my professor, Diano D'Adamo, which focuses on the digital passport in the fashion industry. This is the agenda I'm going to follow. So starting from the introduction, I'm going to show you the main method we used and the results we obtained. And then I'm going to conclude with some considerations and reflections about the study. So, as you know, the fashion industry is one of the most polluting in the world, and not only because the overproduction and waste, but also because of the excessive raw material used and the inefficient methods of production. So this is the reason why brands and the fashion industry have to focus to find some respectable and more sustainable practices, such as introducing and using recycling and bio-based materials, and also to build and to create clothes with that could be more durable in time. So brands has to focus also to introduce some used clothes in new collection. And this could be very important to achieve the SDG 12, which focuses on the sustainable production and consumption. The main objective of this project, of this study, was to investigate the Italians' behaviors and awareness about the digital product passport, which is an instrument that contains lots of information about the product, as the origin, as the materials used, and the environmental impact. Okay, in the energy transition, also new technologies have a very important role because of the concept of transparency of blockchains in artificial intelligence and also of digital product passport. And for this reason, it is expected that by 2030, the DPP will be mandatory for lots of products, for example, for batteries or textiles and electronics. The main method we used was an online questionnaire. We use it because it is widely recognized in the research world and in the literature, because it allows to understand the awareness and the habits of consumers. We used open-ended questions, multiple choice questions, and also questions to be answered with values from 1 to 10 points. And we divided this online survey in 4 main sections. In the first one, we investigate about some social demographic aspects. In the second one, we wanted to know the knowledge of the digital devices, so the familiarity with digital devices and the purchasing habits of consumers. Then we wanted to know in the third part, the knowledge of the DPP, the digital product passport, and some economic aspects. And in the last part, we wanted to know the willingness to pay of people to buy a product with or without the DPP. So with our questionnaire, we obtained 549 answers. We obtained a balance of gender between women and men, an average age of 40 years old, and a salary that was equally distributed among 4 salary bands that I'm going to show you later. Okay. The first question was about the familiarity with QR codes and digital devices. And as you can see from the graph, the scores decrease with the increase of age. In fact, the youngest group gave a score of 8 and 81, which is more or less 2 points higher than the last group of the oldest people. Then we wanted to know how these criteria and these topics are important for people when they make a purchase. And as you know, as you can see, the middle group of 31 to 50 years old gave a more importance to the sustainable concepts. So to the environmental impact, the raw materials used, the origin of the product, and also to the protection of workers' rights. And this could be because the people from this group of age are very important and have a very important role in society and families. Product price is clearly one of the most important criteria considered by people, and in particular for the middle group and the youngest group. And this is probably because youngest people have not yet an economic independence and stability. And also one of the most important criteria is the product aesthetics, which is very, very important for all the groups of age. Okay, then we wanted to know if people knew the digital product passport, and then we wanted to know if they were more likely to buy a cloth with a DPP. As you can see, the middle group showed the highest score with an average score of 7 and 99. But the percentage of people who know the DPP is very, very low. In fact, all the percentage don't exceed the 30%. Then we considered lots of criteria that are contained in the DPP. And we wanted to know how people consider this information inside the DPP. As you can see, the raw materials has the highest position in the ranking. And this is because people want to know the origin of products, and they want to know how products are made. Then at the second position, we have the certification, so the workers' right and occupational safety. And it is important because we can consider that people consider also the ethical aspects of the DPP and the production in general. At the last position of the ranking, you can see logistics and transport. And this is because for people, it's very difficult to understand the importance of logistics and transport and how they really impact the environment. Okay, if we want to see some differences between the age groups, we can see that the middle group gave the highest scores and the oldest group the lowest scores. And this is probably because when people are older, they give more importance to the product itself and not only to the other criteria. The youngest group, despite all, gave highest scores to the environmental aspects, in fact, to raw materials used, and to the also production process, because environment is a topic very focused by the school and the social media. Okay, then we asked people which tools they prefer to access to the information of DPP, and the QR code is the preferred tool, but the percentage decreases with the growing of the age, obviously, And at the contrary, the paper clothing label, the percentage of paper clothing label increases with the growing of the age. And this is because all these people have less familiarity with digital devices. Okay, then we have put the focus on the willingness to pay. Okay, we wanted to know how people wanted to spend money for a product with or without the DPP. The average price for jeans without DPP was 48 euros, while for jeans with DPP was 56 euros. So the decrease more or less of 17%. As you can see from the graph, women demonstrated more interested in DPP, and this is supported by literature and other studies that women are more concentrated to environmental topics. Okay, also we have divided 3 different products. The product 1 without the DPP and the price of 50 euros. A second product, the same product, so jeans with the DPP with a price of 55 euros. And a third product, a jeans with the DPP with a price of 55 euros with more 3 euros to donate to charity. And this, the product preferred is the third one, in particular for the oldest groups of age, while the youngest people prefer and favorites the second type of product. Also, the salary had a main role in these considerations because obviously people who have who are more independent economically could spend more for the same product, but donating some money also to charity. So some considerations about the study. Okay, price is clearly and obviously the most important criteria for old people, so through all the different ages and all the different salaries. But people did not consider only the price, but also other criteria, for example, for product origin and environmental impact, and also the ethical aspects, for example, for certifications. And this can show us that sustainability is this, okay? So people are very interested to sustainability in all the shades. QR code is the tool preferred by people. So it shows that the new technologies have a very important role in the energy transition. And also people are very interested to access to the information of DPP because they shown propensity to purchase products with DPP and all the groups of ages and all the groups of salaries. And we can say that DPP, the Digital Product Passport, is something that can build trust, awareness for both companies and consumers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Simona. Very nice, clear presentation. I want to also underline that this work is already published in Business Strategy and Environment. So thank you very much. We can move toward the second presentation. So please, Joaquin.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming here to listen. I'm here to present you about my research that I did for my thesis together with Professor D'Adamo. The main topic was sustainability and geopolitical risk, talking about the governance challenge in the global supply chain of critical raw materials. In particular, I will show you one of the results that is about the case study of Chile and its copper trade. So the list of content is pretty standard. I will start by the introduction, research objectives, methodology, results about the case study of the Chilean copper, and end up with the conclusions. So I would like to start by stating that critical raw materials are often minerals that are vital for a country's economy, but face high risk on the supply disruption due to their geographical concentration and lack of substitutes. So, for instance, copper is not equally distributed in the whole world. There are a few countries that possess the main reserves of this material. So they are essential for clean technologies like solar panels, wind turbines, and electric vehicles. And in a global push for sustainability and increasing digitalization of technologies has created an increased demands for these materials. The reliance on critical raw materials exposes nations to significant vulnerabilities, especially in the politically polarized world, where instability and weakened multilateral agreements obstacle the international cooperation on sustainable goals, as we can saw in February that the United States withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. So from the literature analysis, we can see that the resulting geopolitical risk reveals the vulnerability of countries dependent on single sources of critical raw materials, making urgent for us to develop policies that addresses responsible resource management and ensure a resilient supply chain of critical raw materials for the green transition and the future of the whole world. So the main objectives of this research was to assess the Chilean competitiveness in the copper refining and policies to reduce the exchange of raw material. And the second main objective was to understand the role of extracting countries for the global critical raw material supply chain resilience. Okay. So I implemented a mixed methodology to address the multidisciplinarity nature of the challenge. It was hard to find only one methodology that fit this really vast nature and supply chain. So by using a data-driven analytical approach, allowed me to frame the overall situation through qualitative and quantitative analysis. So it's important to understand, firstly, what we are trading. So copper, I will treat three main stages of concentration. The first one is freshly extracted from the mining sites. And its concentration goes only from 0.5 to 1.5%, as we can see, and then it goes to a concentration phase where the concentration of copper goes to 25 to 30%. I would like to emphasize the fact that the other 70% is only secondary materials and waste. And finally, we can go to a more sophisticated refinement, making blisters, anodes, and cathodes. That goes up to 99% of concentration. For simplicity, I will refer these last two as refined copper and the other as concentrated. Okay. So moving on to the main findings of this research, I would like to show you that it was important to determine the concentration of the market in the world. As we can see, from 2000 to 2023, Chile has been the main producer and main extractor of copper in the world. And we can see a decrease on the share due to the increase of other emerging economies, for example, in the sub-Saharan Africa as the Zambia and Democratic Republic of Congo. Continue with the analysis. Another significant finding is the identification of China as Chilean mine trading partner. As we can see on the left, there is the refined export by destination. In red, we can see China that possesses over the 37% of the shares, while for the concentrated material on the right side, we can see that it has increased up to 27% in 2024. So this dependency highlights the importance of analyzing the interaction between these two countries. And in detail, we saw actually that in the trade flow between Chile and China, there was a significant decline of domestic Chilean refined product, as we can see in red, and an increase of exports of concentrated material. So by using a pestle analysis was important to identify the critical issues in the global copper supply chain, and it revealed on the technological aspect that this shift on the exchange of copper was due to the high efficiency of Chinese refining plants, which are about 3 times more efficient than Chilean ones, making Chile operating cost less competitive. So to further analyze the copper market in Chile, I implemented a linear regression to determine the trend of the future demand, as we can see in blue. But the literature and many papers and researchers said that it was important to adjust this forecast by the green transition effect. As we can see in green, the demand is set to grow. As we saw in the, so based on the copper demand projections, I outlined 2 main scenarios. Optimistic one, as we can see, OS, optimistic scenario, in which Chile acquires a larger market share, and a pessimistic scenario, PS, which forecast a continued loss in demand of the country. So as we saw before in the trade graph, the trade with China sets the concentrate material to grow. I remember you that it only contains a 30% of usable copper, and there's a high percentage of secondary materials. So we proposed a policy to address these potential environmental impacts, and this policy would limit the exchange material, the copper concentrate exchange, to the current maximums, and to measure the effectiveness of this policy, we implemented this KPI, the copper index, that measure the effective copper trade by putting a ratio between the total refined plus 30% of the concentrated export divided by the export material. So the first impression, the first analysis over this KPI showed that in the optimistic scenario, the KPI was about 40%, but with the implementation of this policy, it rises up to 66%, with an increase of 26% on the exported copper. And on the pessimistic scenario, the difference, there's an increase of 29% of the traded copper. So to assess whether the implementation of this policy could bring economic benefits, I carried out a sensitivity analysis. In this analysis, we measured the discounted revenues in relation to possible changes in the price of both copper, concentrate, and refined copper. And in a subsequent statistical analysis, we found out that there is a significant increase in both optimistic and pessimistic scenario. Respectively, in the optimistic one, there's an increase of 33 billions, and the pessimistic one at 64 billion euros. Sorry. So finally, I would like to say that this study highlights that while in the global transition to low carbon economy requires a significant increase in the production of critical raw materials, it offers a crucial opportunity for emerging economies like Chile to enhance the value of their territory through the implementation, in this case, of more refined material. And this not only as extractor, but true protagonist of a circular and equitable growth model. Chile can contribute to more resilient global supply chain. As our analysis showed, this can be achieved by increasing the domestic value added and ultimately reducing the dependence on single countries like China. And this effectively mitigates geopolitical risks, making the entire supply chain more resilient. Ultimately, this work not only identified challenges, but also offered concrete solution and a methodology that could be implemented in different contexts, for more responsible management of critical raw materials, finally building value chains that integrate environmental, social, and economic imperatives. Thank you so much for your attention. And I would like to say that it's not a choice, it's a choice, not a chance, that determine our destiny. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joaquin. I want to remember to people that listen us that Joaquin about 2 months ago was discuss your thesis in management engineer, but I think that his level is very, very, very nice. And thanks for your attention. And also his work is already published in a global journal of flexible systems management. So several publishers, wonderful journal, and very, very nice presentation. We have already started to reply to some questions, but however, during the Q&A question, we will provide other questions, but currently we have already started. So thank you very much. In order to complete this first great group, there is Chiara. Please, Chiara.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chiara Grosso from the Department of Computer Control and Management Engineering at Antonio Berti, and I'm going to introduce a study that we have done on DPP product passport. So it's something also aligned with the Simona presentation, and I will share you some interesting match that I just found. So. And specifically, the approach of the digital product passport is in the fashion in the fashion industry. So the joke that I made is the fashion to use technology and technology for fashion. So setting the context in which this study, this research is grounded, we are in the European agenda that is working on to shift the linear paradigm of production and consumption to a circular one. So what it means, this shift? This shift means that product has to, that could be sold in the European market, has to follow specific principles. Specifically, there are the eco-design principles. So product has to overcome the programming obsolescence, so it has to be designed to be durable, to be repairable, to be reusable, and to reduce the virgin materials that is adopted to design a product. Since the design of a product is actually responsible for the 80% of the impact of the pollution. So this is quite important, and we are in a specific framework that is called for urgent shift, and so for urgent support for business to move towards circular model of production and consumption. So actually we are at this intersection of eco-design working plan, the need to support circular business model, and this study focus on one of the crucial industry sector, which is textile and fashion, as Simona has introduced. So why? Why? Because actually it's the well-known effect of fast production. So if you remember before, actually there was only 4 seasons, and fashion followed that 4 seasons. Now the pushing of producing and without following a season. So there is a season, mid-season, pre-season, after season. So this fast pushing of production and consumption has also an impact because the production is low quality, is without any ethical respect, is without any respect of worker conditions. So these are the challenges that companies are facing in the industry sector. So the challenge is to shift and to adopt eco-design principles. So find out how to transform their business model, to find new strategies to implement and adopt also models like slow fashion, which is in contrast of fast fashion, is calling for an ethical production and consumption. So the question that is coming from now to the next year is how can the paradigm shift from fast linear to slow circular model of production and consumption, because we are also this different part of companies and consumer, as we saw with the study from Simone. So aligning with the purpose of this webinar on the importance of young people, which will drive the sustainability and a better future. So current and future managers have to build strong relationship across the entire circular supply chain to build up this circular model. So identify stakeholders who have common values and strategic vision on circularity and sustainability. Reskill and upskill competencies to meet new challenges, operate so within an ecosystem. So it's something that is going more over the simply business strategy. It's a vision, it's something that is connecting in an ecosystem all the business. So the circular ecosystem and the circular supply chain will be different and complex. For example, in the previous one, I show you the wool, an example of an Italian company who has made a circular supply chain in the wood market, also in the cotton and also in the denim. So as we can see, there is a variety of stakeholders, a variety of ecosystems that are interacting, and so also the process within the supply chain. So new managers, current and new managers, have to manage and monitor traceability along all the supply chain, monitor environmental impacts, and manage new circular tools, which, as was introduced by Simona, one is the digital product passport, which is conceptualized as an identity card for products and is a passport record all the information of the product from the beginning, from the material to the management of the end of life of the product itself. So the research objective of this study was on technology for fashion is to investigate the implementation of the potential of the DPP as a strategic tool to align business perspective in its design and thereby facilitating the adaptation of corporate model in the shift toward more circular integrated production system. Because given this opportunity, so given this tool, which are the information that could be strategically implemented for companies? So in the study introduced from Simona, we saw the consumer perspective on the familiarity with the digital product passport. With this study, we introduce the company perspective. First of all, we have to say that a digital product passport is a system, is a tool, that is programmed actually, that has a back end and a front end. The front end is something that an end user, so consumer, could see with all the information, and the back end is all the structure of the software. So there are different kind of digital product passport, and the main difference depends on the type of data transport. For example, in the data visualization, if the QR code or a non-fungible token, for example, the data storage method, and the traceability indicators. So these are the main aspects of a digital product passport. So what we have done to investigate on the company perspective, we interview a sample of experts. Actually, we provide them with multi-criteria decision analysis matrix that they selected, giving their evaluation on 9 criteria. So based on literature and previous study, we identify 9 criteria that could be a key enabler of strategic implementation of digital product passport. For example, information on supply chain traceability, descriptive information on the reduction of consumption and emission, also information useful to promoting the Made in Italy brand, as well information provided by consumers to improve the product sustainability, information on European certification, just to cite a few. Performing a multiple criteria decision analysis mixed with a technique of order preference by similarity to ideal solutions, so autopsies, we achieve the perspective, the optimal solution for the ranking of these criteria provided by experts from the sector of industry and also from ERP programmer. So from the multi-criteria decision analysis, the results highlight the importance for experts to put inside the digital product pass information useful to promote the Made in Italy, as well as information on reuse, and recycle, which are the principle of eco-design that I introduced before, and which are the ground of circular model. So, given this first analysis, the data and results were also confirmed by the TOPSIS analysis, which put actually the criteria C9 and C6 with the IGET score. So this double, multi-method approach actually confirmed the robustness of these results. So what we now, which will be actually the next step, we have the information actually that, and so all this information that we are collecting are useful, are crucial actually to develop the interface, to develop the digital product passport itself. So to implement the information, can we see the ERP and actually all the structure of the part that compose the software and the back end of the digital product passport, so as to deliver the information required from companies that companies consider most relevant and strategically crucial to transmit their sustainability value, their sustainable, their circular strategy, and so to transmit this information and the value of their product. So going to the conclusion, what we have done with this study, we've shifted the focus, we focus on companies' perspective and catch actually which are the main relevant information, because the digital product passport is something that could be designed. And actually what we found out also with this study is the importance of making a sector-specific study, so to catch the specificity required for each sector. For example, sector that would be in this case textile, cosmetics, or packaging. So just study the implementation of digital product passport with a sector, industry sector focus is crucial. And so this will be also included in the further research. What is quite interesting actually from this result and the results from this study from Simona, that introduced Simona, is that on one side, business and companies and their side, consumers actually agree on the importance of the product origin. So as we listen from Simona, the importance of the product origin as information for consumers, and the importance of the promoting the Made in Italy on the company side. So this actually is a kind of an exemplification of our interface of the digital product passport coming out from our results. And for future research, this study just highlight the need to develop a competence framework for DPP implementation that reflect sector-specific needs, and how to skill and upskill managers and new managers, because new managers will be actually digital native. They will be actually with a very high level of digitalization. So this will be an important aspect to be focused on the sectors, and also continue to integrate the consumer perspective in order to make the DPP a truly collaborative instrument for transitioning towards effective circular model and sustainable production and consumption. So by my side, that's all. I hope you enjoy, and I'm available to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Chiara. before we have a listen project related to the peace project, because I think that this word peace is very nice in this moment. But now another relevant project, all my activities related to the Made in Italy, so thank you very much, Chiara. Chiara, different from Simona and Joaquin, is a research. I started to collaborate with Chiara from 1 year, but sincerely, I very appreciate your incredible level of confidence, but it is not only a wonderful research, it is a triple wonderful mom, because sincerely it's very nice when all people are able to combine family and work, because not always is very important. And so sorry for your wonderful family when Chiara, I call you and I disturb for this moment.
They like
Thank
you,
you
they already
very,
know.
thank you very much. And also for this presentation, this work is published in a business strategy and environment, but not the same paper of Simona, because we focus not only the consumer side, but also the producer side, because we remember the name of SDG 12. I don't see other question. I don't know if there are questions, please.
Currently, there aren't any new questions, but I would like to ask Dr. Desideri if it will be okay if she read out the questions and answer that she typed so that all the participants can hear it. I'm not sure if they all read it. So if that's okay.
Yeah. I have to read them.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Kaina asked, how did you quantify the environmental impact? Which tool did you use? Did you think about using a life cycle assessment? Thanks and nice talk. Okay, I answered. Yes, we considered a real price of a pair of jeans, a little market study, the price of DPP to add to the price of the product. No, sorry, the question before. I say, thank you for your question. We have not quantified the environmental impact. We only introduced this criteria with all the other in the questionnaire, asking people how it was important for them when they make a purchase. So the score you have seen is the average of all the votes of people who answered to the questionnaire, giving scores from 1 to 10 points. Then Bushra asked if the price of jeans are assumed are unreal prices. If assumed, then how jeans with DPP is calculated. I said that we considered a real price of a pair of jeans. We have done a little market study. The price of DPP to add to the price is more or less between 3% and 10% of the price. So we considered the worst case, for example, for luxury products. So we have chosen a price of 50 euros for a product for jeans without DPP and with a percentage more of 10%. So a price, definitely price of 55 euros for a jeans with the DPP. And he asked also if the title of the paper is the same of the presentation. I said yes.
I think that your response are very clear. However, to all people that participate to this session can send a message not only in several questions, but also in LinkedIn, can contact directly these people. And in addition, because I'm also the section editor-in-chief of this section, you are welcome in my specialist, but also in a specialist of Roberta. So you can send a message to email reporting that you have participated to this webinar, because typically we listen people that has not always economic opportunities to publish and to pay in open access. So if you are agree, I think that we have completed the first session. Again, thanks Simona, Joaquin, and Chiara, because two similar topics in Digital Product Passport, but proposed in a different way. but in my opinion, it's perfect integration. And again, Joaquin, your topic is particular because probably not all people understand what is the situation in your country of reference, but I think that all people must remember that we cannot be dependent from the other countries when we work with specific material, in particular in a digitalization period, because we are for the freedom and not for the other forms of the systems. So after this wonderful person, now we start with another three that are the same, very nice. And we can start, we are finished with Chiara, that is a very nice mom, but also Roberta is another wonderful mom. So sorry also for you, Roberta, when I call you in the moment that I don't ask. Also Roberta works in Mix, also Roberta is research, and in addition, Roberta is not a management engineer in this group of all people. And it is an issue? No, because the university will have a success when we have interdisciplinary concept. We cannot be captured only the little margin. We have need to have a very developed connect because the industry and the public administration ask this aspect. Sorry, I have speak more. Now, please, Roberta.
Thank you, Chairman Hidiano, for the nice presentation. My name is Roberta Palmieri, and I am an environmental engineer, and now I work as researcher in Sapienza University of Rome. This presentation is part of a border research initiative that is currently underway within Spoke 5 of the Mix Extended Partnership, part of the PNRR program. In the next few minutes, I will show you how spectroscopy can serve as a valuable tool for textile characterization, particularly from the perspective of sustainable recovery. Textiles are everywhere. They drive the global economy, trade, jobs, investments, revenue. But there's a problem. Supply chains are fragmented and low-tech. This leads to inefficiencies and serious environmental impact. Textiles consume huge amounts of water and chemicals. They generate massive greenhouse gas emissions, and they produce enormous waste. To put it in perspective, after food, housing, transport, textile rank 4th for raw material and water use, 2nd for land use, 5th for greenhouse gas emissions. Fashion alone account for 8% of global emission and 20% of wastewater. Consumption is skyrocketing. Today, we use more or less 62 million tons of textile each year, projected to reach 102 million by 2030. Waste is massive. Over than 150 million tons globally are produced. In the European Union, consumers discard 5.0 million tons annually. That's more or less 11 kilograms per person. The European Commission has recognized this as a problem, and textiles are now a priority product category for the circular economy. This is driving innovation, technology for use, recycling, and sustainable management. The goal, a more efficient, sustainable textile industry. Fast fashion is based on producing new styles quickly and cheaply, but this comes with a high environmental cost. The European Union is responding with action to reduce textile waste and extend garment life cycles through recycling and sustainable practices. These measures are part of the European border goal, achieving a circular economy by 2050. By replacing the traditional take, make, dispose model with eco-design and sustainability principles, the textile industry can lower its footprint and move toward a carbon-neutral circular future. The textile industry has a big impact on natural resources. Making clothes and shoes takes not just a lot of water, but also large areas of land for cotton or other fibers. In 2020, the industry was the third largest contributor to both water pollution and land use in European Union. On average, producing clothing for each European citizen used about 9 cubic meters of water, 400 square meters of land, and nearly 400 kilograms of raw materials. It is not just about using resources. Our clothes also create a lot of carbon emissions. In 2020, the average European Union citizen clothing use produced about 270 kilos of CO2. Numbers like this really show why we need to get creative with recycling and start thinking in terms of circular economy if we want to minimize the industry environmental footprint. This image illustrates the material flow of the textile industry, particularly highlighting the production, the usage, recycling, and disposal of textile. The textile industry is largely dependent on virgin materials, especially plastic-based fibers. Recycling in the industry is minimal, with most materials either downcycled or sent to landfill or incinerated. There are significant losses during both production and the use phase, and the environmental impact extends to ocean pollution through microfiber leakage. These flow diagrams highlight the need for more sustainable practice in textile production, use and recycling to reduce waste and environmental harm. Let's look at textile fibers. They are usually classified into natural or man-made fibers. Natural fibers come from three main sources: vegetable-based, like cotton or fiber from leaves and seeds; animal-based, such as wool or silk; mineral-based, like glass fibers. Man-made fiber are artificial materials. They can be regenerated, like viscose made from cellulose, or synthetic, mostly derived from fossil fuels. Textile recycling is complex because it depends on material composition. At present, sorting is mainly manual sorting, representing about 30% of recycling costs. Therefore, there is a strong need for automatic, low-cost identification and sorting system. One promising technology is hyperspectral imaging. This technique combines digital imaging with conventional spectroscopy, providing a full spectrum of each pixel of an image, and it allows precise material characterization at high speed. In other words, instead of just seeing the color or shape of a textile, we can actually read its material composition at very detailed level. For our study, we use advanced equipment, including Sisukema chemical workstation, covering a spectral range from 1000 to 2500 nanometers, and a spectral camera from Speking, working in a near infrared range from 1000 to 1700 nanometers. Another instrumentation working in the spectroscopy area, but punctually, is this one. In this case, no images were acquired, but single spectra. On this slide, you can see the data acquisition and processing flowchart that were developed to ensure accurate results. It all starts with collecting raw spectral data, which we first pre-process through steps like smoothing, normalize, or centering. This step helps to reduce noise and make the data easier to work with. After that, we apply statistical and chemometric methods such as principal component analysis or partial square discriminant analysis to explore the data and classify materials effectively. This workflow really forms the backbone of our study, giving us a solid foundation for make reliable prediction about different textiles of unknown material types. Here we can see some of our published results on the classification of end-of-life textile. We focused on different textile types, including cotton, silk, viscose, and blends. Starting from the training images, hyperspectral images, the system was able to classify the validation images with high accuracy, demonstrating the effectiveness of our approach. More in detail, the classification test enabled the correct identification of different textile types, such as pure cotton, silk, and viscose, as well as some blends. The hyperspectral imaging approach achieved a precision about 99%. On this slide, we see raw and preprocessed spectra from different textile samples measured with the single spot spectrophotoradiometer. Preprocessing combined with statistical algorithms make the separation between materials much clearer and improve classification accuracy. The single spot device performs very well, reaching almost 100% accuracy in distinguished textile types. This shows that both systems, the punctual and the images one, are powerful and reliable tools for textile classification at the end of their life. In conclusion, this study showed the feasibility of near-infrared spectroscopy for end-of-life textile recycling, and both hyperspectral imaging and single-spot spectrometry enable precise material identification, supporting circular economy strategies in textile sector. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Roberta. We have a different approach, but quantitative and real aspect. This method is already published in Clean Technology, but related to the space activities. Instead, we speak of textile. So we understand that the research is not only a specific topic, but thanks to a good technique, we can use for different aspects. So thanks, and we attend the development of this aspect because we attend another wonderful paper. So again, thanks. Now we can move toward Paolo. Paolo, when we started this webinar, we have received a new decision for another paper that we have together. Has completed your elements 1 year ago with his degree, and currently is an incredible top scholar, because even if Paolo has not started his PhD, he is author of several papers published in top topics, and it is one of the best authors in renewable energy community. And today we speak also of sustainable development goal applied to the sustainable schools. So please, great boy, a great engineer, and great man.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today to present my research titled Emerging Technologies and Sustainable Schools, Knowledge Management as a Lever for Urban and Social Transition Toward Sustainable Development. Today, I will walk you through the main points, covering the introduction, the methodology, the results, and the conclusion. Let's begin with the introduction. Schools are increasingly recognized as hubs for sustainability, not only educating students, but also fostering responsible behaviors and community engagement. Project-based and interactive learning connects knowledge with real-world actions, positioning schools as a social and cultural catalyst for sustainable development. In addition, emerging technologies such as solar panels, AI, and energy-efficient design are transforming schools into low-carbon, smart learning environment, improving comfort, safety, and engagement. Effective knowledge management links schools with universities and smart cities using data analytics and SDG integration to support sustainable decision-making and cultivate environmentally responsible mindsets. So the aim of our study was to examine how Italian citizens perceive schools and their potential to drive sustainability transitions, contributing to more livable and future-oriented urban environments. Moving on to the methodology, our study is based on a social analysis conducted through a 19-question survey in Italy between March and April 2025, distributed with Google Forms. The survey was divided into 6 sections. First section was composed by 4 questions addressing socio-demographic variables such as gender, age, income, and affiliation with the school system. Second section was composed by 2 questions to assess respondents' level of concern about climate change and self-reported knowledge regarding environmental issues. Third section was composed by 2 questions to assess knowledge of the 2030 Agenda and perception of individual contribution. Fourth section was composed by 6 questions. investigating perception of sustainability incentives in the school context. Fifth section was composed by 3 questions to assess the role played by schools in preventing schools dropout and fostering sustainability awareness through dialogic engagement. And lastly, sixth section was composed by 2 questions aimed at assessing both practical behaviors and visionary thinking regarding the future of education. To ensure the robustness of the findings, a range of statistical tests was conducted to examine group differences, including the Mann-Whitney EU test, the Kruskal-Wallis test, done post-hoc with Bonferroni correction, ANOVA, and Tukey post-hoc test. Moving to the results, the survey included a total of 556 participants, divided into 3 age groups, 18 to 24, 25 to 40, and 41 to 75 years old. In addition, there were 2 gender groups, men and women. Concern about climate change, with an average score of 7.8 and self-reported knowledge averaging 6.9, both tended to increase with age. Women generally expressed greater concern about climate change, while men reported being slightly more informed. Awareness of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals remained relatively low, with an average scores around 5. However, sustainable behaviors were more commonly reported among older individuals, and women consistently indicated a higher level of personal contribution. Participants rated their school's current commitment to sustainability as limited, with an average score of 5.5, but there was strong support for greater investment in this area, reflected in a high average score of 8.2, especially among older respondents and women. When it comes to specific measures, tangible actions such as installing photovoltaic system and improving energy efficiency were favored over initiatives like recycling programs or training. On average, participants indicated a willingness to pay of 12.7% more to support sustainability efforts, with women showing a higher willingness compared to men. In relation to who should lead the initiative for more sustainable schools, the highest level of trust were placed in school principals, who were indicated by 29% of participants, followed closely by local governments at 26%. However, the elected school board was perceived as the most effective and transparent actor overall. In fact, it received broad trust, being chosen by 23% of respondents, and registered the lowest level of distrust at just 7%. Preference varied across age and gender, younger participants tending to trust local governments more, while older individuals favored the school board. Women showed greater trust in school principals, whereas men were more inclined to rely on local institutions. When asked about how effectively school address the issue of early school leaving, participants gave a modest average rating of 5.6 out of 10. A clear generational divide emerged, with younger respondents aged between 18 and 24 assigning a lower rating of 5.2, while older adults rated efforts more positively, with an average of 6.2. Gender differences were also evident. In fact, women perceived the school's effort slightly more favorably than men, with average ratings of 5.8 and 5.4 respectively. A particularly significant change occurred when participants were provided with a clear explanation of the concept of open dialogue. Initially, its importance was rated at 7.7, but after the clarification, the average rating increased to 8.2. Older participants and women consistently assigned greater importance to dialogue, and women in particular showed the largest increase in appreciation. Notably, once the definition was made clear, age-related differences in respondents disappeared, highlighting the key role that understanding and information play in shaping attitudes. Regarding sustainable behaviors, younger participants tended to resell books, while adults prefer donating them. Women emphasize altruistic actions, whereas men prioritize economic gain. When asked about the school of the future, 44% of them choose a model focused on sustainable behaviors, 21% on green energy and waste management, 21% on inclusion and accessibility, and only 14% expected a change, reflecting a broad consensus on the centrality of sustainability. These findings underscore the link between school dropout and wider social challenges, highlighting the need for effective policies and educational models that promote problem-solving, leadership, cooperation, and authentic dialogue to support sustainable and inclusive development. So, as we have seen, schools influence sustainable behaviors and provide a context in which people engage with sustainability concepts, even though knowledge of the SDGs among respondents remain limited. In conclusion, cities are facing increasing sustainability challenges intensified by globalization and digitalization. Schools are not yet fully leveraging their potential, highlighting the need for systemic change and participatory education. Participants showed concern about climate change, strong support for practical incentives such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainability training, indicating awareness, but also the need for more concrete action. Crucially, schools are the first sustainable communities people experience. So by promoting green technology and sustainability education, they help advance SDG 11, fostering inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities, positioning themselves as key driver of smart and urban development. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Paolo. I think that your level of specification is very wonderful, but today I have a gift for you, directly from my great heart for you. So I'm very happy that you can see this color. I think that not always two football club in Italy in a team always a nice moment, but I'm very grateful for this vision because from this webinar we have a clear message. There is no future without a sustainable school. We have not only to improve the university, but we have a need to start from the when people are children, not only family, but also all people that support, because we can improve this world. So thank you very much, number one, and always thank you. And finally, we have Federico that probably has resolved a technical issue. Yes, Federico? Alternative, you can gift my aid with one here, and so we can, I think it's a nice gift if you want.
Hi everyone, I'm Federico Marinangeli, and today I'm here to talk about my project on the effects of pharmacy holdings on people, titled Efficiency, Trust and Sustainability in Pharmacy Holding, a Citizen-Centered Perspective. This is the outline that presents all the topics we will cover today, and let's begin by introducing the context of the pharmaceutical market. In Italy, the number of pharmacies is currently growing steadily. We have reached more than 20,000 pharmacies, one for every 2,920 inhabitants. Comparing this data with the European market, we find ourselves above the average density, which is one pharmacy for every 3,214 inhabitants. Average customer spending is also lower, to 175 euros versus the 442.4 euros of the European average. And there is only one positive note to add. For the past 5 years, the industry has been growing with the plus 2.6% in the last year. Analyzing the literature, it became clear that the topic of the small pharmaceutical holdings and their critical success factors is not widely addressed. For this reason, I set my following research objective to provide a social analysis to understand the people's sentiments toward holdings, their habits, and the potential benefits they might expect from the aggregation in order to determine the critical success factor. The social analysis follows a structured methodology, a 13-item Google form questionnaire divided into 3 sections. sociodemographics, the business perspective, and the customer perspective, which collected 405 responses, all validated through statistical tests with the 95% of confidence. For reason of time, I have reported only some of the responses, and the responses were then analyzed by groups: gender groups, male and female, 3 age groups, and 4 income brackets. Let's move directly to the consumer section, which opens with this question about the consumer's own habits. The slide shows the responses by income group. On average, the habits are the same for all groups, but with the markedly different score. And the higher income groups purchase significantly more often, statistically speaking, personal care products, products for food intolerances, and veterinary products than the lower income groups. And it's probably due to greater purchasing power leading to higher quality goods or having pets. For the same reason, more affluent groups make less use of pharmacies for consultation, probably turning instead to private dermatologists and nutritionists. And we also see that for all groups, it's extremely important that the product be available in the pharmacy, with all scores above 8.7. But it's interesting to analyze what they can do if the product is not available. And however, when they can off, sorry. And the most interesting difference are found across age groups, which most respondents in all groups prefer the option of looking for the product in another pharmacy. The second choice is vary widely, with the 2 younger groups oriented toward the online option and the older group toward the ordering and coming back later. However, when they can offer the option of going into another local pharmacy where the product is guaranteed to be available, this becomes the widely preferred option across all groups, leveraging the holding's territorial coverage. And consistent with this, 2 open questions were asked, one on willingness to pay for shipping and one for the discount required to go to the other pharmacies, and both referring to a 50 euros purchase. We note that the discount required to travel is higher than the willingness to pay to have the product delivered at home, which is consistent with the urgency consumers expressed in the question on product availability. Consumers were also asked what benefits they perceived when they buying from a pharmacy holding, and the most relevant responses were greater product availability and price reduction, followed by loyalty and territorial coverage. We again find significant difference among age groups. The oldest group places much more importance on loyalty than the other 2, showing a greater understanding of the cost-saving opportunities that can open up with a widely loyal audience. Consistently, there would be cost advantages, and we note the difference highlighted by the p-value. Once again brings to light to the difference between the oldest and the youngest group. The last difference goes to the other way for consultation through the machines or devices. It is the youngest who perceive a more significant benefit than the middle-aged group. And in my view, this is because younger people have not fully realized the benefits they can leverage, partly because they surely go to the pharmacy less frequently than the older audiences. So they gave much less emphatic responses, showing a very narrow scoring range. Instead, all the respondents widened the spread, giving more decisive evaluations. And in conclusion, we have seen that the strategic effectiveness of holdings model is more pronounced in the physical context than in the digital one, as confirmed by users' behaviors when a product is unavailable. Most opt for guaranteed availability in another pharmacy. The surveyed sample did not show a strong inclination to follow European and global trends in digital sales. In fact, for our sample, trust and personal interaction remain too important to fully understand the patient's clinical picture, indicating that the pharmacist's role is still difficult to standardize and very hard to replace. The strategic value of loyalty clearly emerges, and suggesting an opportunity to invest in personalized long-term programs in line with the SDG 8 on enterprises' economic growth, without ever losing sight of social well-being. This analysis also contributes to SDG 3, promoting more efficient, widespread, and inclusive access to health service through the holding pharmacy model. And I will close with a quote by Chris Anderson, which I share because alongside what you see today, I carry out a study on a small pharmaceutical holding in Italy to highlight that the world of fusion and acquisition taking place at the top with investment funds and huge holdings can be countered only if from the bottom up a credible movement emerges, then and that can be sustainable over time. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Federico. Before I have not reported that the work of Paolo was published in Sustainable Development, so congratulations. Instead, the paper of Federico is accepted and we hope to be published in short times in Business Strategy and Development. But in all cases, Federico, you as Joaquin has completed your management degree only 2 months ago, but sincerely, I'm very happy to see this presentation. Initially, never listen my voice. It is a technical issue or a clear direction of the future. I think that the second option is the number one, because in this day I have received the communication to be classified among 0.1 top researcher at global level, but sincerely my dream is reached. And now I think that it's nice to see the dream of other people to move to this element. So from this webinar, it is a clear direction. We have needed to space to young people. We have needed to space to men, to women, but all elements, because never we can discriminate people for each aspect. We must move toward the freedom, the meritocracy, and we must provide opportunity to young, because when you see young is an incredible aspect. So my A's are destroyed from this point. Dylan reported me that we have completed in a perfect time, so he's happy. Alternative, there is food for my wonderful dog, but sincerely, I am grateful to several aspects. I have checked also the message of Anna. Thank you very much, Anna, for your presence. But sorry if I repeat, but I'm very grateful to Chiara Grosso, to Simona Desideri, to Roberta Palmieri, to Joaquin Francisco Varela Bascul, to Federico Marinangeli, and to Paolo Basico, because I have learned from this presentation. Even if I am a co-author, I think that is always to see this aspect. We have shown a wonderful smile. So my only question for all persons this night is the following. When you see a people that is in difficult, please help this person. Because if you realize this, you are a sustainable woman, sustainable man, or the other. I have stopped to speak because it's the 8th and my time is finished. So please, Milana, to complete this webinar.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that wonderful message in the end. And I would like to thank all speakers on behalf of MDPI and Sustainability, and also you, Professor Diano, for all your support to our journal. I would also like to thank the attendees for attending these sessions. I hope you all enjoyed as much as we did. And we're looking forward to maybe another webinar in the future, just to give the opportunity for young people to disseminate their knowledge even further. So thank you all again, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.